You know, if you want to win at fantasy football, it's all about that upside, getting those players that can have those boom weeks. Here's some running backs we think are going to go off. All right, Chris, let's start the season off the right way and get some running backs. They're going to help us win in week one. Who's your first guy?
I've been talking up J.K. Dobbins all offseason, and wow, what a way to start the season J.K. Dobbins is going to have. Going against the Houston Texans, arguably the worst run defense in the NFL. They give up the most rushing yards last year and the second most rushing touchdowns, and they've been one of the worst rushing defenses year after year for the last few years. J.K. Dobbins should be fully healthy, 2 years removed from that ACL. He returned to practice a few weeks ago. He's fine. He's good to go. Has very little competition for targets in this offense. And game script should be absolutely in his favor because not only are the Texans a terrible run defense, but they're starting a rookie quarterback. They're unlikely to do much, if anything, on offense. This is a game that the Ravens should absolutely win fairly easily, control the game. There should be plenty of opportunities for Dobbins. He could easily get to that 20 carry mark in this game. And if he does, he's going to smash because he's an incredibly efficient runner. His average 5.9 yards per carry for his career, even down the stretch last year, was great, not close to 100%. If he gets 20 carries in this matchup against Houston, well over 100 yards, definitely has a chance to score a touchdown. J.K. Dobbins is going to be an absolute stud this year, and it starts in week one in a smash matchup. You have to start J.K. Dobbins this week.
Well, my pick is actually pretty similar. I'm going with a lead back who is going against a team that is a bad team with a bad defense and is starting a rookie quarterback. That would be the Indianapolis Colts. And so I'm looking at Travis Etienne in Jacksonville. Now that name might surprise you because if you've been watching all our draft content, I haven't really been on Etienne this year, not drafting him a whole lot. And that's because I really like Tank Bigsby, and I think that he's going to cut into Etienne's touches, but not yet. Because we know that, number one, rookie running backs don't just get thrown in there unless they're clearly an elite back, a guy who was a first-round pick like Bijan Robinson. Yeah, of course, he's going to be the guy from day one. Tank Bigsby, no, he's a compliment to Etienne. Etienne's still the lead back. All right, I have no delusions of grandeur for Bigsby as if he's already won the starting job or anything like that. Etienne is going to be perfectly fine, but especially early in the season, I think it's still his backfield. And man, he's got a great way to start the season as well against the Colts, who, let's face it, are still kind of a show, and they're just not going to have a great defense. I think with Jacksonville's even better offense, game script is clearly going to be in their favor. More runs, more big plays from Etienne. I think this is going to be one of his best games of the season. That's right, coming out the gate hot. So Etienne's a guy, if you drafted him, you're starting him anyways because, you know, his draft capital is ADP about, third, fourth round. But you should be happy with the way he's going to start the season. I think he goes off and 100 yards, good chance for a touchdown. It didn't hurt also that in the final preseason game, Tank Bigsby fumbled near the goal line. That might, encourage Doug Peterson to kind of slow the roll and getting him so many touches. Etienne's got that trust. Etienne's got the job. Etienne's going to have a big game in week one. All right, who else do you think will boom at running back?
Well, speaking of a guy I haven't been high on during this draft season, I actually like Joe Mixon this week. So if you drafted Joe Mixon, congrats. You're probably going to get a very good Joe Mixon because they're going against the Browns. The Browns were 8th in yards against last year, 8th in yards per carry, and 3rd as far as rushing touchdowns. Running backs were tremendous against the Browns last year. And this is a game that's probably going to be a high-scoring game. We know Joe Mixon's going to be involved in the passing game as well. He's going to get the volume. He's going to get chances around the goal line. He's not going to be highly efficient, but that's okay because in this matchup, chance to score with his pass catching, he has tremendous upside this week. Joe Mixon, a guy I think is going to disappoint for the season, but I think in week one, you're going to be very happy you drafted Joe Mixon at least, and you're going to want to get him in your lineup because this is an absolute boom spot for him in this matchup. And it's not going to get easier for Mixon as the season goes on and his body wears down. It's only going to get worse. So take advantage of him in week one. I'm not going to have him on this video very much, maybe never again the rest of the season. And I might not call him a start many times this season. So take advantage of him here in week one. He's primed for a big game this week. If you drafted him, get him in your lineup. He won't disappoint.
All right, now I'm going to talk about another player that I really didn't draft that much this preseason, and I don't know how much Jahmyr Gibbs I'll have because I honestly am not exactly sure how to value him. Do I trust him as my number one running back, as my anchor, or is he a guy who might disappoint? I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to tell what is going to happen there, but I will say I feel pretty good about him in his very first NFL game, and this is where it comes down to situation and context. So in week one, the Lions are playing the very first game of the season, and they get to go to Kansas City and play the Chiefs. Not an enviable task, but this is why I think it's good for their rookie running back, which that might sound odd, but let me explain. We know Kansas City, good offense, not so good defense. The Lions are going to have to try to play catch up, I'm guessing. Now, when they do that, they have two options. Throw it to Amon-Ra St. Brown, which they'll do a lot, or check it down to Jahmyr Gibbs, because that running game will have a hard time getting going. And let's face it, once you get down to Kansas City, you can't just sit and run the ball over and over again up the middle. So I think this is one of those games that really plays perfectly into Jahmyr Gibbs' skill set. And let's remember two things. First of all, not only Kansas City gives up a fair amount of points, but they happen to give up the most receptions to running backs by far last year, 125, because this is what teams have to do. They have to try to slowly chip away, get back, and throw the ball a lot. And here's the other thing with Detroit. They just don't have that many options because besides the Sun God at receiver, remember, Jameson Williams is out for 6 games. You're looking at guys like Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond, a rookie tight end. Gibbs is going to have to be involved as a pass catcher, and I think he will. And this is why this team was so excited to get him in the first round. So Gibbs is going to get going right away. He's going to be heavily involved, and that's all you can ask for from a running back, that usage. So I think that you're going to see him catch a lot of passes from the jump. All right, give me another boom at RB.
Yeah, talking about a pass catching back, I love Rachaad White this week going against this Minnesota defense that isn't very good. When you look at them last year, they don't really stand out or jump off the page as like a terrible run defense. But that's because teams never really ran the ball against them because they were so bad against the pass. They're still going to be bad against the pass, but it doesn't matter this week because it's Baker Mayfield. The Bucs aren't going to throw the ball a ton regardless because it's Baker Mayfield. Rachaad White is going to be the focal point of this offense. In that last preseason game, he played 100% of the snaps with the starters after not playing the whole preseason. They're obviously saving him for the regular season. He's going to be an absolute workhorse running back. We know he's a tremendous pass catcher. Baker Mayfield led all quarterbacks in check down rate last year. He's going to have so many opportunities in this offense, not only to pick up big runs, but also big receptions. And hey, he might even have some touchdown upside this week because, again, the Vikings defense is so bad. And I talked about J.K. Dobbins and I talked about Rachaad White. I love pairing these guys on Underdog. You can get J.K. Dobbins higher than 56.5 rushing yards. Pair him with Rachaad White higher than 66.5 rushing plus receiving yards. And if both of those picks hit, you will triple your entry fee. Go to Underdog Fantasy if you haven't signed up yet. Use promo code ENDGAME. They'll double your deposit up to $100. But Rachaad White is primed for a big game this week. I love Rachaad White for the whole season, but I especially love him here in week 1. If you've got him, get him in your lineup.
All right, now I'll talk about a running back that I have been drafting probably way too much of this year, and I've probably been talking about way too much, but it's only fitting that we start off with a Brian Robinson boom pick because I really think he sets the tone early. Schedule, yeah, it matters. That's a big reason because he gets to face what probably will be the worst defense and the worst team in the NFL this year, the Arizona Cardinals. All right, so the matchup, positive game script, check. And don't forget that across the second half of last season, the last 7 games Brian Robinson played, he was averaging almost 20 carries per game. So he's got the volume, and now he might actually catch some passes as we've seen in the preseason. Touchdown upside, everything you would want. Now, I already liked this pick because of all those reasons, but now if we look at the fact that Terry McLaurin is really at risk of missing this game or being limited. That just puts things even more in Robinson's favor and the running game, because they'll have to rely on the running game some more. Look, maybe they just don't want to throw Sam Howell out there, throwing the ball too much in his first NFL start of this season. So I think Robinson is a really solid pick here, a guy who I've been saying throughout the draft process has top 15 fantasy upside. Yes, I actually believe that, but you can get him at such a discount on draft day. Look, if I have him, and I do a lot, I'm going to roll him out there already, either in my RB2 or my flex spot, and see what he can do against the Cardinals. Those are some guys we love at running back in week 1. But who are we starting or sitting at that position? At every position, all you need to know for week 1 is right here.